Welcome to the BNR News Hour. I'm Isabel Birateri. 1 month ago, Najee Seabrooks, an anti-violence activist who was a part of the Paterson Healing Collective, was shot and killed by Paterson police. He had called 911 for help during a mental health crisis. After 5 hours of negotiations between him and police, he came out of the barricaded bathroom with a knife when Paterson police shot him. He died at the hospital later. His killing has brought community activists together asking for answers and demanding a change in the town of Paterson. Last week, Brave New Radio program director Vaughn Leake and I interviewed Kenya Bannister, a member of Black Lives Matter Paterson, to talk about the Paterson community and the reform and changes that they are looking for in the town and the police department.
My name is Kenya Bannister. I'm a part of the Black Lives Matter chapter in Paterson. I'm currently a freshman at William Paterson University, and I'm very glad you guys asked me to be here to talk about this. This is very important.
Of course.
Yeah, thank you for being here.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So when did you join Black Lives Matter Paterson, and why did you join?
I first got my start with Black Lives Matter Paterson through our youth council. So I filled out the application. My mom actually sent it to me, and she knows how proud I am to show out for my community and be able to lend a helping hand. It's kind of like what she taught me growing up. So I always wanted to take after that. And I followed our chapter leader, Zeli Imani. I followed his work through Ferguson, and he's really on the scene when it comes to these things. He's very proactive, and I kind of look up to him. So I decided to just do what anybody else would do. You found something that you want to be a part of, and you feel good about it. The outreach is good. The feedback is great. So I just decided to go ahead and be a part of the BLM Youth Council. I was co-chair, and then I aged out at 18. So then you could continue working with the chapter, even without being in the youth council.
Okay. All right. So to get right into it, the Paterson Police Department has a long history of violent acts against its citizens, Najee Seabrooks being the most recent, on top of the body cam footage of Paterson police using the illegal knee strikes on a minor. Why do you think this keeps happening, and what is Black Lives Matter Paterson doing to help put an end to these kinds of practices?
I can tell you why this is happening, but more importantly, it's how people are able to get away with it. There's no way that a police officer who has multiple reports of excessive force and using illegal moves to bring down suspects that they find or people that they come across, there's no way that that person should still be working on the force. These police murders are happening because of negligence within the Paterson Police Department and within the government, within Paterson itself. Black Lives Matter, our main focus for this is to make sure that everybody is aware of what's going on within the community, let it be outside. But the most important thing is that the community should be involved every step of the way. When we're talking about problems and we're talking about these solutions, the best people to get it from are the people who are suffering. Mm-hmm. And that's what Black Lives Matter really likes to put forth, is the importance of community. It's not just about getting people from outside to really tune in, but it's also making sure that you take care of those within your community. You make sure that they're educated and they have the resources that they need. But specifically with the police murders, is that they're getting away with it. There's nobody applying pressure. They're following the example that is set for them, which is nothing. Do whatever you want. You basically have free reign. And another problem that they also have is these police officers have no idea about the dynamics of the community, the environment that they're serving, or the people within it. How can you expect someone from Wayne to know the dynamics of Paterson when you're constantly traveling through the area? You don't know any of the people that you're coming across. You're not required to do any type of research or information about what you might come across and how you can deal with that. There's no amount of training to tell a person how to be a human. Mm-hmm. You should want to do that already. So, yeah.
Well, what are some of the day-to-day practices that BLM Paterson does to try to, put an end to some of these things that are going on?
We have a day every Friday. We go out, and there'll be a table, and there'll be food, there'll be clothing, anything that anybody needs, you can come and grab it free of charge. Mm-hmm. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to talk to us if you don't want to talk to us. We're just here to help you because that's what we're supposed to do. We also have a community fridge, and we also have our youth council, and we'll hold different events throughout the month, but we definitely have Everybody Eats, which is what I just mentioned with the table and within the community. And we'll have different things that are going on. You can always call on one of us if you feel like, you know, you need somebody to talk to, or you need help with a certain thing, or getting in touch with different resources. We're definitely there to help you.
Okay. So it's like you're providing the community with things that they might need.
Yeah. And within that, we also have a youth center where there's a studio. If you like to record music, that's something that you like, you can definitely go there and do that. You can go there, do your homework, or to just chill. It's just kind of like a recreational center, but we usually don't find these resources within our community. So Black Lives Matter Paterson wanted to make sure that the kids of Paterson aren't counted out, that they have everything that they need right in the reach of their hands. Yeah.
I love that because before we turned the mics on, I asked you what you want to do, like what you're majoring in, and part of what you said was you wanted to create more resources and more platforms and centers and things for not so much underprivileged, but POC, like people of color, Black youth, and people who don't have accessibility to, you know, places to go sit and do their homework or whatever. But to that point, you know, BLM Paterson is doing a lot for the community. What about to hold the police accountable, or the people who are doing these, like, the police, that's it.
Right.
To hold the police accountable. What are you guys doing? Like, are there more than protests, or like what have you guys been doing, and what have been the results of some of these things?
So the work behind the scenes is very, very tough. It takes a lot, and I think what people kind of get misconstrued is that whatever you post about, it'll immediately spread, or whatever you talk about is immediately met with open arms. What can we do? Mm-hmm. It's very hard. It is very hard to even get people to want to come out and show up. And what we like to do is we demonstrate that ourselves. Instead of telling people what to do, we're out there with you.
Yeah. So
you have somebody showing you what to do. Even if you're afraid, somebody is out there for you. If you, like, for example, we had they had to call the mayor's office. Mm-hmm. And we'll post on our Instagram, like, what to say, how can you help, what number to call. And, you know, it's different ways that we'll do things for different people. You know, everybody is, some people might have anxiety, and talking over the phone is a lot. And saying all of that might not make them feel comfortable. So maybe going out into a protest, or showing your face and going to your council meetings, that's other ways that you can help too. It's not uniform. Mm-hmm. It's multiple steps. It's 100 different things, but it's how you mobilize and organize them.
Okay. So the Attorney General took over the Paterson Police Department on Monday. What was your reaction to that, and what do you think should come next?
I actually had the opposite reaction of what you would possibly think. Usually when it comes to people coming outside of communities, you kind of see it, some people kind of see it as the end goal, but this is the bare minimum. Mm-hmm. There have been multiple police murders in Paterson, and the AG is just now coming to take over. This same AG, back in 2019, January 5th, Jameek Lowry, was broadcasted on Facebook Live himself while dealing with a crisis himself, yelling with police officers surrounding him, "They're going to kill me. I'm going to die. They're going to kill me." Thelonious McKnight, December 29th, this past year, backed into a corner in a backyard and shot and killed by the police, suspected of a gun which they did not find, and laid on the cold ground in December for 5 hours.
These are all victims of Paterson?
Yes. And the AG is just now stepping in. These same families, Jameek Lowry's family, Thelonious McKnight's family, their cases are stagnant. Jameek Lowry's family had to go and get an autopsy themselves. They said that Jameek died due to an accidental cardiac arrest brought on by a psychosis from bath salts. And that is not true. Jameek Lowry died of asphyxiation with complications of brain damage. He was in critical condition. He was strapped down while being transported to the hospital and beaten by those police and left in front of the hospital. And if not for a nurse they wouldn't have found him. They revived him, but he died of his complications. Thelonious McKnight's case, there's still nothing to be done. Those cops are still working. Those police officers are still patrolling. There has been nothing done. The AG coming here, it's a start, but it's not the end goal. Mm-hmm. There needs to be things in place that we can break down and talk to the community. What do you need? How can we help you? That's what we need. Usually when people from outside the community come in, it's what they want to do, how they see fit. You should be talking to the community, asking them, what do I need to do? How do I help you? And listen with open ears. Everybody's circumstance within the community is not the same. So it's important. It's detrimental that they listen to us. Because it's been a long fight, but it's just getting started.
Don't you find that interesting's not the right word, but interesting how the same thing with George Floyd, you know?
Right.
Like he clearly died because he was at the hands of the police, but reports came back and said that that's not how he died. He died because there were like drugs in his system, or they misconstrued the situation of the story.
Right.
And we hear about like George Floyd, which are I love the thing that you said, like, oh, the minute like, you know, we post something on social media that things are going to go widespread. Obviously George Floyd shook the world. George Floyd and all these other, Breonna Taylor. But that's why I asked you, like, these are people in Paterson. I didn't even hear these people, these names of the people of these victims who died at the hands of the police.
And that as well. But what I also want to bring light to as well is there's not always going to be a camera.
Right.
Or somebody filming.
Mm-hmm.
The people who film are brave. Because what is being done in front of them can absolutely be done to them.
Absolutely.
These are brave people who are doing this.
Mm-hmm.
But there's not always a camera around to hold them accountable. And clearly on camera, they don't care either. So they have to know that you cannot do this. You cannot get away with this. You cannot ride in a car. You cannot ride around in a police car that says protect and serve and brutalize the people that you are serving.
I remember the conversation when George Floyd happened. And I don't remember so much with Trayvon Martin, but I'm sure it existed then. Right. The conversation was, oh, all these people are like surrounding. Why are they not doing anything? Well, Kenya, last time I checked, you and I are also two African Americans in the United States of America.
Right.
So we could be the next hashtag. You know, we could be the next Ahmaud Arbery or George Floyd. So, like, there's only so much that we're scared watching this. So trying to take accountability, not accountability, but like, you know, defend somebody like George Floyd. It's not that we don't support, but we really could be the next hashtag if we try to do anything to intervene. I'm sure any of these cops, I'm positive of it. These cops they don't care who we are. They see our race and they are immediately intimidated. And it's a shame that we can't even, you know, that all we can do to look out for our brothers and sisters who are killed at the hands of the police is hold our phones out. So that way it can be shown to the world. We can't go and take action because we're scared for our own lives.
And to be fair, it is a fearful situation.
Absolutely. That's
if
an understatement.
you're witnessing somebody get their life stolen from them right in front of you, nobody is expecting you to be the hero. Mm-hmm. When you see this violence everywhere you go, especially in Paterson, the very whoop whoop of a police car triggers me. Mm-hmm. There is all the thoughts that play, I'm not safe. Okay, just remember, if anything happens, make sure they can see your hands, do whatever they say, and just keep calm. I shouldn't have to worry about how the police are going to treat me. I shouldn't have to worry about if I'm going to walk out of that situation unscathed. That's not normal to have. That's not a thought that anybody should have about the police.
Right.
But it is apparent that they don't care. It is apparent that these lives are expendable to them. It is apparent that they're comfortable doing these. They would not act like this if they were not comfortable with getting away with it. We've seen it a lot. We've seen it every single time we have a police murder in Paterson or America. Mm-hmm. It is a non-ending cycle of pointing the finger. But we all know what we need to do. We need to hold them accountable. If it is to make an example out of them, to show other police officers, you're not going to get away with it if this is what you decide to do with your badge and your gun. You're not going to get away with it. These are real people innocent lives you are costing. And for Najee, personally, he was a healer. To know him was to love him. He trained the same Paterson police officers when they come to the Paterson Healing Collective's events, teaching them how to incorporate violence intervention when you're stopping somebody.
Mm-hmm.
They know Najee. They know him. And that's what makes it even worse. He called for help. He knew what to do.
Yeah.
He called on his community. The Paterson Healing Collective was on site. The problem is, why would you, as a police officer, you know you're not trained to handle a mental health crisis.
And you are trained to protect and serve.
If you know he called. There was a copious amounts of 911 calls made by Najee himself, saying that he wanted to cause harm to himself. Why would you not let the mental health professionals on site intervene, calm him down, and then go about the situation once he's calmed down? How can you expect somebody already in crisis, ready to take their life, to meet you calmly when you are behind riot gear, you have shields, you have all that black armor on, you have your batons, and you have your guns pointed? SWAT was called to Najee's residence for a mental health crisis. A mental health crisis should not be a death sentence. If anything, we should be preventing that. So, yeah.
That's... I can't... Yeah, I mean...
It's a lot. Yeah. It's a lot to take in, but we definitely have more productive conversations about mental health and how to go about it. But it's not so much about talking about it. We can talk it to death, but when are we going to implement that? Millions of people suffer with mental health issues. Nobody calling for help should die. We're having a crisis. I want you to help me. I don't think he would have called that many times if he didn't want to live.
Right.
They tricked him into thinking that his mom was waiting for him. And when he steps out at the sound of hearing that his mom wants to see him, you meet him with a bullet. There's also a thing that they also use. It's called less than lethal force. And like most protests, you'll hear people saying, oh, I got hit with a rubber bullet. They hit him 15 times with sponge tip bullets.
Okay.
What are those? Can you explain what sponge tip bullets are?
They're really big. They're huge. And they hurt. They're meant to be shot from like a long range. You're not supposed to hit anybody with that as you're like close to them.
Yeah.
Because it can damage you. It still hurts. It damages you. But to do that 15 times, you don't think that he wasn't feeling that pain? That he would have been at least calmed down a little bit? That's how you escalate the situation. You're yelling, you're screaming. I'm asking you for help. You're barging into my home, my space. And you're acting like I'm a criminal. I called you for help. I understand that there might be fear in the situation, but you are a police officer. If you are afraid of the people you're going to have to serve, that's not the job for you.
Absolutely.
It's absolutely not the job for you. Najee was a star. Najee and the Paterson Healing Collective, they have a thing called community walks, which is where they'll go to different hotspots in Paterson and talk to everybody on that block. Talk to them about resources, invite them to come sit in with the Paterson Healing Collective and get involved. Do you think somebody like that wanted to die, who didn't know what to do within a situation? He called on his community, and I think that speaks volumes. He called the police, but he also called for his community because he knew that they could help him. For them to turn him away from that help and take his life when he could so much more be being here and serving and helping. It's so much bigger than, oh no, they just killed Najee. Najee was a brother. He was a father, a son. He did great things. There are people all over Paterson, youth especially, who are heartbroken. I never have seen anything like this in Paterson. Najee's outreach was far.
Yeah.
He left California to come back to Paterson to help the people within Paterson.
I want you to touch on that a little bit. Talk about like the community of Paterson. What is that like? I mean, you've kind of gone on to the community, but like, what is Paterson as a city as a whole like? There's a lot of like negative connotations that come out of Paterson. So you being from Paterson, I'd love to hear your...
Paterson is beautiful.
Mhm.
I love my city. I there'll be a lot of people saying this, that, and the third, but Paterson is beautiful, and I think it has awesome potential. It just takes people to see it. And the people in Paterson do see it. Yeah, we have our problems just like any other city. But the reason why they are so rampant is because there's a lot of corruption within the government in Paterson. A lot of things that a lot of these officials are able to get away from, or, you know, sugarcoat, or just go around it. There's a lot of nepotism, corruption, as well as a little bit of fraud.
Yeah.
But that has nothing to do with the community. We put you guys in these positions expecting you to be able to represent us. Paterson's beautiful. I mean, it's a little rough around the edges, but it's mine. I want to take care of it. The people in it are worth something. I talk to kids every day, walking across the street, whatever. Everybody knows everybody. It's big, but it's small. But it's worth something. There are a lot of stars in Paterson. And also, nobody has to be extraordinary to be able to be worth something. It's beautiful. Like, Paterson has a lot of great things, man. Like, we used to have so much more for kids, but like any other place, when there are people in power who misuse their power, things go wrong. We had a recreation budget. It has just been cut, and it's one of the things that Paterson spends the least time on. And who does that affect directly? The youth.
Mm-hmm.
Who is the future of Paterson? The youth. How could you leave the youth out of the conversation when we're talking about community improving, when we're the ones who are going to have to deal with this? We're the ones left behind. Oftentimes when we have these conversations, I genuinely like to talk to the youth because this is their perspective. And as an adult, this might be yours. You have the choice, or you might have the means to move out and do all of this, but we're here. If our parents are here, where are we? We're here.
Yeah.
So it's a lot, but Paterson is beautiful, man. Like, I wish more people got to see what we get to see on a daily basis. It's the simple things of, like, being able to go to a bodega and know that there's going to be whatever they have, you know, oh, yeah, this is my spot right here. I know I'm going to come here. I've lived all around Paterson, but I'll never forget the vibes we have. Like, how I know the summer is coming in Paterson is I hear a lot of music, a lot of diverse music. I mean, from everywhere. And I get happy. Like, Paterson is just so special. I keep saying it, but it's just so special. Like, you wouldn't know unless you lived there. But it's definitely worth all that and more.
Mm-hmm. And you could tell that, I mean, taking away from those resources, who is that helping?
No one.
Yeah.
And, you know, Passaic County has a lot of resources, but they're not within reach for us. They're usually an hour to 30 minutes out in another town. And not everybody has the means to take that trip.
Yeah.
You should be able to get it, if not in your school or whatever program that you're involved with. But being that we don't have those programs and they're being cut, it makes it a lot harder for you to be a kid truly in Paterson, to be young in Paterson. When you're told in school, we have teachers who don't live here either that come and tell us that we're not going to be nothing. I've had multiple teachers, none that look like me, to be fair, tell me that, oh, if you don't do this, you're just going to be like any other kid in Paterson. It's the kind of stuff that we're taught, that we hear in Paterson, that you cannot expect us to get beat down every day and come out victorious. Everybody is not that strong. It takes a village. It truly takes a community to build a community. So in order for us to get to where we need to be, people have to understand the importance of community and allow us to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So going off that, So when the Attorney General made his speech on Monday, he outlined his plan, which was bringing the Arrive Together initiative to Passaic County, which pairs plainclothes officers trained in crisis intervention with a mental health screener in an unmarked vehicle to respond to 911 calls and to service behavioral and mental health crises. He wants to revise the statewide use of force policy to include protocol for barricaded individuals, and he wants to convene a working group to study and produce policy recommendations concerning interactions between law enforcement and community and hospital-based violence intervention groups like the Paterson Healing Collective. Do you think these changes are enough? Is the general consensus that the Attorney General intervening will help? You kind of touched on that before. And what other concerns do you think the community has?
I believe those plans they have they're a great start.
Mm-hmm.
But what I would like to see more of, and I've probably said this already, it needs to be more community involved. There should be a board where people within the community can report certain things and the community can take care of them through whatever organized process that we have set up. It's very nice that he's considering doing all these things, but we'll see what they bring. We've had copious talks about training and workshops, but how many more training and workshops then can we do?
Mm-hmm.
Clearly the training is not working. This is not the first time this has happened. There has to be more. It's not enough. It's a great start, but it's not the end goal. And it's kind of hard to say what would work and what wouldn't when we haven't seen it done yet.
Yeah.
But like we've seen in the past, training and workshops, it doesn't work. I really do enjoy the fact that they're now wanting to involve the Paterson Healing Collective and the community inside. But I would like if we could have a meeting where the community can voice their concerns and bring up the problems. Paterson is very clear on its problems and its solutions. It just takes somebody to just want to listen and implement that in the way that it is presented, not in the way that fits their agenda or how they might see it work. If the community is telling you there's a problem and they have a solution, bet your bottom dollar that solution will be better than anything anybody else outside of the community could come up with.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I spoke to his name's Zelly, right?
Yeah, Zelly.
At the protest, and he said that, you guys have done the work to find the solutions. You guys just need someone to listen.
We just need someone to listen.
Mm-hmm.
We network and we talk with each other. We're outside and we're on the ground talking to the community. When we're doing Everybody Eats, those who talk, they tell us what they need. I need this. Thank you guys for doing this. I really appreciate it. It helps me a lot. And that's what we'll continue to do, to be there for the community.
Mm-hmm.
Be their voice when nobody wants to listen.
Yeah, that's incredibly important. Do you have anything to...
Well, yeah, you guys put out a list of concerns. I mean, excuse me, a list of demands that you that came out of all this, right? So you wanted to identify the officers responsible for the shooting of Najee and immediately release that body cam footage to the family, which I think is like the bare minimum that they could do.
The bare minimum.
Right? You asked to place the officers involved in the shooting on administrative leave immediately, which unfortunately we've seen not happen in cases. If anything, we've seen like paid like suspension.
Yeah, like they'll have the 90-day suspension, which is basically a vacation for them.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them even get paid,
yeah.
like you said. So it's a 90-day vacation for them.
Mm-hmm.
No charges, no, like, you should be immediately fired. Like, bottom line, if you do that while you're on the job, you should go to jail. There should not be a 90-day vacation for you. Najee can't go home. Jameek Lowry can't go home. Thelonious McKnight can't go home.
We saw that with Derek Chauvin and the people who were responsible in that killing. We saw, like, them go on Good Morning America
right.
and talk to Michael Strahan and just, like, play victim, I want to say it is. Like, they played the victim, and then we also saw it, like, nothing really happened. Like you said, these people went on paid vacations, and they were fine. They were falling asleep pretty well at night while all these families of these victims were like at home crying because their day started some way that they didn't think it would end, or their day ended some way they didn't think it would.
Right. And it's heartbreaking because all I could think about is Najee's emotions. What could have been going through his head? I'm in crisis and I need help, and they're shooting at me. I called on my community and they're there. I can hear them. And you're shooting at me. What I need you to do is right behind the door or standing next to you. And you killed me. It's one of the things that it just makes me so sad. Because he didn't deserve that at all. Najee was amazing. And there's many that can attest to that. And this is something that we've seen in history too. Especially within the Black community. They take out our healers. They take out our leaders. And we're left with what? It is a literal tactic to discourage us from moving forward. It is used. Think Martin Luther King. Any other civil rights activists that have been assassinated or died, there's been multiple people come forward and say that, for example, Malcolm X, the United States government was brought to trial by that family in conspiracy to kill and assassinate Malcolm X.
Yeah.
It's what they do. They take out these leaders, these people that we have hope in, that show us, it's something that we can do. We don't got to live like this. It's definitely something that we can do, and they take them out. It is a tactic to discourage and destroy those communities. And they will continue to do it if there's nobody there to intervene. And that's what Paterson Healing Collective and the Black Lives Matter Paterson is there. We're the block in the road that goes, wait, hold on. You can't do that, and you're not going to get away with it. Because we're educating the community. We're giving them the resources. We're talking to them on a daily. Whatever they say that they need, we make sure that they're at the bare minimum heard and make sure that they get those things. It's sad that we have to rely on the community, but that's all you have. And there's nothing wrong with that. If your community is strong enough, you can get through anything. You might need a little outside help, but there's also your community to back you up.
Mm-hmm. To keep going off of that, more things on the list of demands that you guys had. You wanted to create a non-carceral crisis response team staffed by unarmed civilians. You wanted to establish a civilian complaint review board in Paterson with investigatory, said that right, and subpoena power. And you wanted to demand the immediate resignation of the Passaic County prosecutor Carmelia Valdez and Paterson Public Safety Director Gerald Spezial. Now, the last three things that I just named have not happened yet. What do you think, like, the impact of these changes, if when they happen, will be?
I think they'll be amazing. For example, it's always nice to talk to someone who might have grown up in the same circumstance as you. Mm-hmm. There's more that you can relate to. Like if you're looking for a therapist, some people prefer therapists that look like them or live the same lifestyle as them. It just makes you more comfortable. I believe that the community would be more willing to speak up and help when they know that, hey, my neighbor is on the board. I can go talk to them if I have a problem. I don't got to take care of this by myself. You know, there's a copious amount of things that community just brings. For one thing, community, when I think of community, I think of love, caring. And it's just, it creates a feeling of like nostalgia almost. Mm-hmm. I grew up with these people. They know me. I know them. I can talk to them about anything. When I might have let's say we have a civil dispute. Oh, my neighbor is throwing trash in my yard. Those things can escalate. They can. There might be like a physical fight or anything like that. But if you have a board within the community, okay, let's settle this during the board. Let's have a meeting and let's come together for a mediation and see what that will help before we shoot immediately to violence. I think those things are imperative. Having a community board will definitely take some of the pressure off of living in a state of violence like you do when you're being terrorized by the police every day.
Yeah.
So being able to go talk to your community instead of talking to the police officer who's causing the violence, it calms you. It comforts you. Like I said, a lot of the experiences we have growing up in Paterson, the police, 9 times out of 10, it's not been good. So why would someone want to go to the police if they are fearful of them? We have a community board who will be able to take care of that for you and help you. And if furthermore you need more mediation and stuff like that, we'd have the resources to help you.
I think that's important, especially so. And I love the thing that you said about people who look like you and talking to people. One, I'm a black man. Two, I live in Trenton.
Right.
So a lot of people, if you know, we can compare Trenton and Paterson and other cities in Jersey which aren't the best. Jersey City, like Irvington. You know,
Right.
I guess like. Which is weird because Trenton's the capital, so you would think there's a little bit more funding for initiatives like this, like Black Lives Matter Paterson, or like even these community centers, or even like just more community building to be able to have people to talk to about things like this. What do you feel like these things that you guys are demanding could change, or do you feel like these changes could like fix the issues facing the Paterson Police Department?
I think they absolutely could. I don't like the saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, because clearly it's broken. So why not try something new?
Mm-hmm.
We've tried your way for years, and it's clearly not working. It's not, there has been no progression. If anything, we're going backwards.
Absolutely.
Backwards, and it's just frustrating when you in the community know what will help, and they won't listen. I think that they should give this ample time to set out if they do decide to oblige to that demand. It should be something that should already been implemented. If you really cared about changing, we've seen them talk on speeches. We've heard the mayor say disgusting things regarding the police murders in Paterson. But and he's the mayor. This is the example that is set for them. So that's why they think this is okay. Mm-hmm. It's time to scrub the whole thing. Allow these new ideas to take place, because you don't know, it might solve the problem that you've been working 30 years to fix.
Yeah. Well, why do you think that, though? Because Andrew Saya, who's the mayor, has been reluctant to like say anything or mention any form of investigation. Why do you feel that is?
I believe that they're simply afraid of the power that community has. It's intimidating to be told how to do your job by the community that you're supposed to serve. I believe that it's a shot to the ego. And I believe that community really, really is key. I mean, you can go anywhere. Think of your own hometown. There's certain places that you guys might have for social events and things like that. Community just comforts. It could take a lot of the violence and the stress and anger out of the situation and replace it with love and care and calmness. And I think that's something that we need. I've seen it. We've seen it in different places in America where they've had these boards implemented. In New York.
Yeah.
We've seen that. And lo and behold, crime rates went down. Not up. They went down. I think that it's something that we could try, and what do we have to lose?
But what's stopping I guess the people in these positions, the AG and the council and the mayor, what's stopping them from just like continuing to ignore the people, the community, the people who not only make up the city, but the people who they're killing in the city?
What's stopping them, like preventing them from taking that step?
Yeah. Because you say that community, like, and then I agree with you. Community is like, community. I agree 1,000% is their biggest fear, but evidently it's still not working.
Right.
God forbid, what happens when there's a new person? You just named 3 people, Kenya, in 4 months who, and I'm sure you'd stop naming people in 4 months who have been killed at the hands of Paterson Police Department. And it boggles my mind that, like, I lived in Wayne, going to school here for 4 years. I didn't even know Paterson's down the street, and I didn't even know that. I can name people in Trenton who have also died at the hands of the police in the past 4 months. So like, what is it gonna take? You know, because evidently community is not doing it. Not to say that's like not strong. We're not strong as a community, but these police and these people of power are using their privilege and their power to just say no, and we're gonna keep ignoring. We're gonna keep fighting back, and we're gonna keep killing.
That's the thing. If you're not willing to hold yourself accountable and be mindful and smart with your position when you're in power, nobody else is going to be able to tell you what to do. The mayor has denounced these things publicly, and that's just what happens. I look at them as less than human. I don't think they have that conscience or that self-accountability to be able to say, hey, maybe I should care about my community. Okay, they're crying out to me. I want to do something about this. It is not about the community. I don't think they care at all. I don't know what it would take for them to listen. But I could probably think of one thing. If the mayor was asked to step down, if those people who have done those things were immediately fired, it would show others, just like by the example that they have set, that this is not okay.
So you don't think it's these elected officials just becoming cowards once they get in these positions? Because we have to remember we're also the people voting these people into these positions of power. Instead of, I think in conjunction with us having protests and rallies and doing these things after the fact, there's so many steps that we can take prior. But, obviously not everybody beforehand votes somebody who they know or think is going to denounce investigation of cop killers.
Right. It's very hard to know who to vote for, but I would say research those people before you vote for them. They could make you 100 promises in the world, but pay attention to their actions. When you're canvassing the community and they'll pop up at your certain events, see who was there at that event before they were running for mayor or for council. Pay attention to the people that are in the room. We say that a lot. Pay attention to who's in the room right now, because that's how you can pick out who cares. These officials, they're smart. They're smart with what they do. They're meticulous. But there's definitely things behind the scenes that happen, and they become cowardly. You might get into a position and feel like, oh, I can do anything. But in reality, I know there are things going on within the city of Paterson that is not talked about, that is not open to the public.
Unfortunately.
And so we wouldn't know. But yeah, I definitely think that there's a driving force why and blocking them from doing the right thing. It is simply doing the right thing. I don't know what it involves or why it is so hard for them to do that. But I don't think it's that hard for you to stand up for the community who put you in that seat. And to be specific about our current mayor, a lot of people within the black community rallied behind him and put him there. So for him to publicly denounce and shame people for speaking out against the police murders happening in the city is disgusting.
What did he say? I wasn't aware of this.
This was around the Jameek Lowry case. He basically kind of insinuated that there was things done on both sides that caused what happened to Jameek Lowry to happen. And also with Thelonious McKnight, with the suspicion of there being a gun, just really trying to re-ensure the public that the police were just following the rules. And they were not.
It's a shame that now we have to consider police doing their jobs as the right thing. Why can't they just be doing, if I'm calling you for a mental health situation, why does helping me have to be, it is the right thing, but why can't, it's part of your job. Like I said, it's the bare minimum.
Right.
Even if it's not the right thing, maybe I am crazy. Maybe I do need some medicine or something, but why can't you handle me, like you said, like a human? Why am I being handled as less than a human when whatever action you're taking against me makes you the less human?
Right. I think the big driving force behind that, it doesn't take much to become a police officer. The training is not intense as people make it seem. but it has to go beyond training. I mean, we could talk ourselves to death about training and workshops, but it's not working. I feel as though once you get a call that you're going to be going into a mental health crisis, or you might be walking into that situation, the next person that should be called is a mental health professional. The mental health professional and whatever 2 officers escort them in, but allow the professional for the mental health crisis to do their job, to do what they need to do. To deny somebody help while they're calling you for help, that's crazy. It's an oxymoron. It doesn't make sense. You had everything you possibly needed at your fingertips to help Najee, and you just didn't feel the need like you needed to do it. Why didn't you let them in? That's the things that we want to know as a community. Why wasn't he allowed that experience? Why wasn't he allowed that? It doesn't make sense to say that you protect and serve when you had everything you needed to protect Najee and to serve him, but you denied him that. Why? And that's an answer that they still haven't answered. They still haven't given us that.
At the town council meeting on Tuesday, you could tell a lot of people were very frustrated, and they wanted answers. The council put in a motion for a vote of no confidence against Mayor Andre Saya and Council President Shaheen Khalik. The motions didn't pass on Tuesday. What did you think of Saya's response to the situation and Khalik's response to the situation? Do you think removing them from, you kind of touched on this, but do you think removing them from their positions would solve the issue?
I don't think it would solve the issue as a whole. It has a lot of, but it would definitely be the best start. It would be the best start because the person who these police department answers to, they answer to the mayor. He has his hands in everything. He is the mayor. So when they see him finally gaining the consequence for his action, it will shake them because they believe he is untouchable. And that should not be. As a mayor, you should not feel like that is your seat to have, that no one can take it away from you. You should not have all the power like that, especially when you turn to the community to give you that right. I think it would be a great start, but seeing as to how they both weren't passed, it was a slap in the face. Mm-hmm. We told you what we needed, told you what would help us get there, and you didn't do it.
They think that their positions aren't expendable, but lives that they're taking are.
Yeah. That was perfectly said.
Yeah, it was very shocking that Khalik essentially called the entire situation a circus at the beginning
I
of the
was
meeting.
there that at that specific council meeting, there were a lot of emotions in the room. I mean, the whole entire building within that area where the meeting was going on, it was full. Families of Najee Seabrooks, family of Thelonious McKnight, family of Jameek Lowry, and also Felix de Jesus, who's been missing for 400 plus days. And he was last seen in police custody, Paterson Police Department custody. And they still have not found him.
Do you know what the reason, why was he in custody?
He was inebriated and someone called. And to be fair, the woman who called said that she didn't want any harm to come to him or anything like that. She was just concerned. So it was said that he, by the police who wrote the report, said that he asked them to take him to a park. Felix asked them to take him to a park. When just that Tuesday, his sister-in-law denounced all that. That was not true. He didn't even know where he was. But they cannot find him. In the last 5 minutes of film where they have on body cam footage, that is the last time he was seen alive. Why are we not talking to these police officers? How do they not know what happened? But that is the last time he was seen, was with them. But they don't know what happened to him. They don't know what park, where he could have went to. If you really genuinely cared, you would have been like, hey, let's drop him off at the hospital, let them know that he's here inebriated, and they'll move from there. Or drop him off home if he was able enough to speak and tell you where to go to a park. There's certain things that they can do, but they just do not, because they don't know, or they just simply do not want to. And people like that should not have that much power within the community. If you don't know how to approach situations like that as a police officer, it's not your job. You shouldn't be there. If you are afraid of the people you're serving, it's not the job for you. Maybe take a step back and figure out what you want to do. But it's not fair that we are the lessons and we're the examples of failed training and failed workshops. It's not fair. It's heartbreaking. We're losing people at a miraculous rate. Healers, people who are willing to put in the work every day. Najee was on scene every day. It didn't matter where he was or what he was doing. If you needed him, he was there. And many can attest to that. So it's heartbreaking that we have to continue to lose our healers and continue to lose our stars due to failed workshops and training. We're tired of hearing training and workshops. It's not working. We need everybody to listen clearly. The community is speaking up, and you can hear them loud and clear. Take their word for it. I promise you, you will not be disappointed. There's so much progress that could be happening in Paterson, but I simply feel like the community is looked at as nothing because of how Paterson is. Because of what Paterson's going through, I feel like the community takes the brunt of it. It's always us. Oh, well, it's this way because of you guys, and you guys are doing this. It's not time for that. The community does not have access to everything that the mayor has access to. It would be shameful to say that everything that happens in Paterson is the community's fault. It's not.
So would you say that it's the city of Paterson that needs the reform, or the justice system of the police of Paterson?
Both. We need reform on both sides.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely needs to happen. I'm not saying that it will be easy and that it won't take work. It will, but it's work that the community is willing to do. They have to be willing as well. We can't just bring all of the fire.
Mm-hmm.
You have to meet us halfway. And we're allowing them spaces and platforms to do that. For example, the mayor simply just showing up at a council meeting while they're talking about what's going on would be greatly appreciated. But he doesn't show up. And he won't. And we've become used to it. And it's unfair. We'll have council members walking out of meetings while people are crying out. Mm-hmm. It's disrespectful. It's like the worst slap in the face. And I felt it Tuesday. I almost cried. I couldn't believe. Like, this is who we're supposed to trust? Like, these are the people we're putting our all into. They won't even sit down and listen to us.
Yeah, I've never seen something like that where at some point a couple, like you said, council members just got up and left.
Right.
It was very odd to me that something like that is even allowed when, like,
voting and stuff was going on. I believe they were voting on the matter, and besides the one councilman that was absent, there were multiple empty seats, but we had just seen them. Mm-hmm. But when it's time to vote, there's certain people who are missing, who are present, just not there. It doesn't make any sense. There's no order. First of all, there's no order. And then you have your officials that you put in those seats calling your outcry for help a circus. Mm-hmm. It's a very hard thing to do. It's very hard to continue to show up and show out when you know you're not being heard. And I would just like to commend everybody who showed out that day to keep coming out. Please keep coming out. Please, like the progress we are getting, it's small, but it's huge. Because before, they wouldn't even think about doing this. Mm-hmm. The AG I don't believe he ever came before.
And these are peaceful protests you guys are having.
Yes.
These aren't like these big jumping on furniture, torches. Like these are
They're
like
very peaceful.
Mhm.
Very, very peaceful.
yeah, absolutely.
That's what we want to lead with. We want to lead with that. We're not going to meet you with the same violence that you meet with us. That's what we're trying to get away from.
Right. Yeah, my point in that, it wasn't a question. It was more so letting people know and trying to reinform the public. These aren't like these big like hoorah like oh like F the justice system or Paterson or Passaic County's police. This is, you've been saying, we want to meet you halfway.
Right.
But like we can't do it all.
We have the problems and we have the solutions. Not everybody within the community is going to be educated on what can be done at a higher level. Not everybody is on that level. I mean, when you have the AG, I can't tell you what the AG can do for me. We have to sit and we have to meet and we have to convene and talk and deliberate and go over, okay, so the community came up with this. This is something that they would like to see implemented. How can I, as the mayor, do that? Or wherever the mayor expertise in whatever matter that we're talking about at the moment, how can you meet the community halfway and give them exactly what they need? What can you do with that? What do you need to build? What outside resources do we need to come in here to make sure that my community is set and good, and that when this person leaves, that the resources will run smoothly and surely as it should for the community for however long or how many days is needed? There has to be something like that we have to be able to meet. But when you have a mayor who's non-cooperative and doesn't like to show up to things, it's very hard to try to meet with them. It's always the community coming to the city of Paterson or like the whole scheme of things. It's always us having to meet you. Never you coming down and meeting with us. It's always like we have to beg, plead, like listen to us, please. And it's heartbreaking. And it's hard. It's very hard behind the scenes to keep going and keep putting your best foot forward when you're met with just straight disrespect. But if anything, that fuels us to keep going harder, to keep going every day to make sure that the other little kids growing up in Paterson will never have to deal with this ever again. Mm-hmm. Nobody in Paterson will ever have to deal with another police murder again. That another person going through a mental health crisis will not die, but instead get better and move on and use the resources that might be presented to them during that time to keep them from having another crisis. And if they do have another crisis, they will also walk out of that one unscathed.
Well, where can people go and, support, do anything to get involved with BLM Paterson?
So BLM Paterson has an Instagram page, mm-hmm. and it's BLM _ Paterson. Okay. And we post about all our events, anything coming up, that's all on there. We also have a link tree linked into the bio where you can sign up for our monthly volunteer events that we'll have. We have the Everybody Eats, different volunteer efforts. If we're having any special event, it will be listed in the link tree. And also constant postally during our stories and regular Instagram posts. We also have a website. Paterson Healing Collective also has a website, and they also have an Instagram, Paterson Healing Collective. So, yeah. And we also have the Youth Council. If anybody interested in the Youth Council, if you want to join, in that link tree, there's an application to that as well.
Mm-hmm. Before we wrap this up, is there anything else you would like to add?
I would just like to say that I know there's a lot of people out there listening, and it might be hard to relate, but please, if there's something going on in your city and you and the community wants something to be done, I promise you, it will get done. You have to believe in your community. You have to. It doesn't matter if you don't feel like you don't know what you're doing. There's somebody there who knows what to do. There's somebody who might be good at writing. I need you to write this up so we can submit it professionally. Okay, I'll write that up. okay, I need somebody being able to drive it up there. Somebody be able to drive. There's someone always around to do something within your community. You just have to be willing to go out there and talk to them. It's going to be intimidating at first. You might not know everybody, but in the end, it'll be a blessing. And I just want to thank you guys so much for allowing me to come here and share this, because it's been hard. The turmoil that comes with being able to like do this work, it can get tiring and it can take a large toll, even ourselves. And that's why we like to say a lot of the times that a lot of the services that we provide, we also have to use them too. Because we're human just like you. Mm-hmm. The only thing is that we're community. So if I put you on, it makes me feel good that maybe you might think of me and what I did for you and put somebody else on and help them get through whatever they got to get through. So, yeah.
Okay. And I wanted, of course, to thank you for coming and talking to us.
So much.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
I know that, William Paterson is a majority commuter school. A lot of our students come from Paterson. So a lot of the students are from that community.
Yeah.
And the story is incredibly important, and it affects our student body.
Yeah. And I kind of definitely wanted to come on here and talk, because this is my college. Hello. And I love it here. So I want to make sure also that, like, if people on campus who want to get involved, like, my name is Kenya. I might, sometimes I might look like you can't approach me, but that's just the morning. It'll go away later. If you have any questions or concerns, if you see me, say, hey, I want to get involved. I will be glad to give you anything you want regarding BLM, or even if you just want to get involved and know what's going on and know how you can help or be an ally. I'm the person for that. I'd be more than welcome to do anything of the sort. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
It's Kenya Bannister from the Black Lives Matter Paterson. Thank you, Kenya. Brave New Radio is always family to you and to Black Lives Matter Paterson.
Mm-hmm.
Please let us know anytime you guys have any protests, any events.
Yes.
Please let us know.
I would like to keep in touch. Yes. I was just thinking about that.
Yeah, let us know what we can do to help. Seriously.
Yeah. Because we're the future, guys. Mm-hmm. I mean, we get into a lot of stuff. We have our fun, but when it's time to buckle down, I will say one thing. We get stuff done. Forget any other generation. You guys, they laid the foundation, but we turn it up. I mean, it's really all about us. We could spend our time, talking to adults and stuff like that, but I really enjoy talking to people my age, because we speak the same language, and I feel like we bring a different fire than, any other generation that's come, before us. We grew up in the social media age, technological age. We have a whole bunch of things that they didn't have, that we could utilize, and we could really change a lot of things. We could make a difference damn near everywhere.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So
okay,
thank you, Kenya, so much.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
It's Vaunt Leak.
Yes, Isabel Birateri.
Sitting down with Kenya Bannister from Black Lives Matter Paterson. Thank you, Kenya.
Thank you.
I would once again like to thank Kenya for sitting down with us. You can listen to and view this interview again on Brave New Radio's YouTube channel. Also be sure to follow BNR_news on Instagram. From Brave New Radio News, I'm Isabel Birateri.